Lay arrests lead to recovery of high-powered weapons. Cocoa Festival preparations on track. And land issues featuring prominently for NCD candidates.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Monday's news. Lay police have made a string of arrests during which high-powered weapons have been recovered. One of the weapons was a pump-action shotgun stolen from police during a robbery at Nadzab.
Police operations in Lay have relied on network of contacts. They've gradually been fostering a new relationship with the community and businesses. Those relationships have paid off with a smoother flow of information. That flow of information has become crucial with the recent escape of more than 50 prisoners at Bilmo Jail. The Lay Metropolitan Command has been utilizing the new arrangement of sector response units to track down the arrest suspects. Yesterday, the units recovered this revolver at the Bumbu and Sipaya settlements. Another arrest, a semi-automatic pistol, was found in the possession of one of the suspects. Police in plainclothes uniform made the arrest. Two of the suspects are wanted in connection to the raptured robbery earlier this year. Police have been put on high alert since the prison breakout 2 weeks ago. It is understood business in Lay were put on alert this morning after information was received of another possible armed robbery. Meanwhile, Madrid province is suffering from an increase in crime. It is believed troublemakers forced out by tighter policing methods in Lay have fled to Madrid, therefore causing the spike in crime. Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lay.
Power consumers of Buka in the autonomous region of Bougainville have relayed their frustrations to the continuous power outage. This power outage, they say, is continuing and is very uncalled for. Business houses in Buka town have also shared similar sentiments, saying freezer goods are in the danger line of being removed with losses expected to occur. Households also say the outage has spoiled some of the electrical appliances. PNG Power in Buka couldn't be reached for comments this afternoon. The Cocoa Board of Papua New Guinea says the 3-day Cocoa Warwagira Festival, scheduled to happen in Kokopo this week, is on track. The festival has attracted farmers from cocoa-producing regions all over the country to showcase their produce. An international panel of judges will assess and grade cocoa beans during the event. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
The Cocoa Warwagira Festival that will commence this Thursday to Saturday is an event that will bring together cocoa farmers from all over the country. Most of them are smallholder farmers who are considered the backbone of the cocoa industry in Papua New Guinea.
We will have participants coming from all the 7 cocoa growing provinces in PNG.
The Cocoa Board of Papua New Guinea, the organizers of the festival, says the event, though it's going to be its first, is expected to be a bigger one.
Special guest at the opening will be 6 panel of judges coming all the way from Europe, America, Australia, and other international participants. Also on the panel will be 2 Papua New Guinean national judges as well. Their job is to assess the quality of cocoa beans that we have collected throughout the country.
This will be an avenue that the Cocoa Board says will be used to provide a fair assessment of cocoa produced from all over the country. In previous years, cocoa farmers have their produce graded individually and unfairly, the organizers say. But this week it will be different.
In that we will be able to assess which are the best farmers in terms of production and processing in all the regions. Each region will be given prizes or awards, followed by a selection of the best 3 farmers.
The best cocoa beans will make it into the International Cocoa of Excellence exhibition in Paris comes October. In 2015, a similar entry into the Cocoa of Excellence by the Lower Watut cocoa growers in the Morobe province brought back a recognition from the show, placing Papua New Guinea as one of the top cocoa producers in the world. Papua New Guinea contributes less than 10% to the world market. This has left many smallholder growers at a point of disadvantage where they don't have control over cocoa prices. But the PNG Cocoa Board says with quality cocoa, it puts the country at a greater advantage where farmers can negotiate higher cocoa prices. And it is through the Cocoa Festival this week in Kokopo that the cocoa regulatory body wants to encourage farmers to grow more quality cocoa. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
An economic assessment of customary land value has revealed that customary land owners in PNG are not being properly compensated for the use of their land. Researcher Dr. Tim Anderson from the University of Sydney said the research is an economic assessment of the compensation of customary land use under the Special Agriculture Business Lease or SABL. Dr. Anderson said the research is more of a framework which identifies the importance of land.
The framework is in partnership with advocate group Act Now PNG. Dr. Anderson, who is no stranger to Papua New Guinea, says the paper discusses a range of matters associated with customary land affected by SABLs.
Well, this particular project with Act Now was to do with compensation, which is something to deal with, the problems that arose because of the SABLs. But in the broader sense, I think the question is try and give some real economic value to those rural livelihoods when we're talking about the big projects and weigh up the costs in a wider sense, take more into account and the way it's going to affect the livelihoods of people.
Anderson says the report is based on rural land valuation and production. He says the informal sector of customary land usage is more productive than the formal sector. This means land that is used for small-scale farming has more value than the land used for major agriculture or logging projects. This, Anderson says, many Papua New Guineans are not aware of.
And I found, which supported what the National Research Institute had done some years before, that a lot of the informal sector livelihoods based on customary land were far more productive than, say, wages in a lot of the other rural areas, So don't undervalue, don't throw away the good value of livelihoods based on customary land. That was what I came up with.
He says most customary land in PNG is undervalued and, more importantly, customary land must not be given up easily for development.
That these livelihoods based on customary land are very valuable and can be more valuable when people are better educated about how to manage their production.
Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
The issues of land entitlement for settlers who reside in settlements for decades have been a hot topic for NCD regional seat candidates. While the topic of giving land entitlements to settlers have been used in previous national general elections, unfortunately no district member of NCD has delivered. Michael Kandiu and James Melegepa, candidates for the NCD regional seat, during separate campaign rallies gave their stand land entitlements of settlers.
At every opening of a water project in the nation's capital in the last years, the issue of giving land titles to settlers was promised by NCD members of parliament but never delivered. Evictions of settlers in the nation's capital has been at a high, with new super roads developed in the last 5 years. Settlers who settled there for decades were left homeless, and now the settlers have the opportunity to choose who will represent them. Both regional candidates Kanju and Melegepa believe that a super road at the cost of evicting settlers is unreasonable and the people must be settled properly before infrastructure can be built.
You have a vehicle to drive this super road. You don't get a car driving this super road. People needs to develop first. You must live in a good house that drink good water. Sewage go, light go, electricity go. When the life of the people is changed, and then you put the infrastructure.
Then you go to Tokarara. You go down to Murata. You go down to Gerehu. Those are called low-cost houses. Even all white man here to walk in, not Papua New Guinea government since independence. Since independence, this country, particularly in Port Moresby, no government has ever built him houses to look after its Papua New Guineans.
But the question arises on how best they will address the issue if elected. Kandu, who is a real estate agent by profession, believes the way forward is allowing the surveyor to survey settlements, structure the land titles, then hand the titles to settlers who can then mortgage the land and apply for loans to develop it.
Give this the Prime Minister get a settlement state ground land stop and by giving back land city now me cut him now give him long one law level below you are you stop. Me create him title finish give him you by me organize him bank loan title below you by you kiss him was a 99-year lease to the state. Every title belong. So this la title below state by you mortgage in this la ground below you. Na ba you kisi man bla loan to loan 99-year lease na NCDC bank account bla you governor bla you by give him guarantee by you kisi man bla 100,000 loan na ba you pay him this loan repayment law 100 years.
Meanwhile, Melegepa, who was once a policy advisor to 5 different governments and helped construct the NCD Commission, says the government that is spending 200 million kina on a super road must set aside 50 million kina for residents or settlers along the road they are constructing.
If there's going to be any movement of people, you start the wave of development, and they are going to get, let's say, 200 million kina to build a road or whatever. I will ask the government, national government, look, give me additional 50 million kina or 100 million kina and let me settle my people who are in the middle of the road.
Melegepa, who was also a reformist during the Semekere Morata term, also wants to ensure land titles for people residing in National Housing Commission buildings to have their land titles before looking to giving new titles to settlements.
All the line wall, first floor line wall, it is also houses. The government already making decision finish or some they will be given to those residents or tenants plus a house. You stop the government identify my house flow you finish also you can get it on a giveaway scheme. I'll make sure we get that money from NCDC and we'll pay for whatever legal cost, valuation for you and we'll give you the title.
While the issue of housing in the nation's capital is not only for settlers in the settlement, it is also an issue for working class who are unable to afford sky-high rentals. Melegepa believes housing is a time bomb that is soon to become a bigger problem for the nation's capital.
There will come a time when governments supposed to do long yet on the housing, on addressing housing, the land development issues, this problem will come back to bite the government in the National Capital District. It's a time bomb.
Adelaide Sirks, Kari National MTV News.
National MTV News will be back with the day's other stories after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Sitting Central Governor Kila Hauda held his first campaign rally yesterday in Barkau village. Recovering from a mild stroke, Hauda made it clear to the people of Barkau and nearby villages he is well and ready to defend his seat.
He was greeted to a warm welcome by the people of Barkau. He was accompanied by his wife. Hauda was hospitalized in Cairns, Australia for 3 weeks following a mild stroke. Many people of the Central Province said he was not able to compete in this year's general elections. Yesterday, the Central Governor meant to prove his critics wrong.
Thank you, Honorable.
Deputy Governor Desmond Byra spoke highly of Kila Hauda, saying during his time as Governor of Central Province, he has assisted in various forms, from schools, aid posts, and assisting students with school fees. He added, for the first time in the history of the Central Provincial Government, his people have received a new aid post and classrooms.
Yes, done a lot for my village, Wanigala and Waiori. He has built 8 posts. He had built bridges, never there before, 25 years ago. Governor, thank you. Thank you very much. You have built 8 posts for Wanigala and Waiori. You have built walkways, wharfs for Wanigala and Waiori. That is why I'm giving my heart to Kila Hauda.
invited guests in the likes of Loani Henau, Dr. Billy Manoka, Rocky Dauveri, Hawada Rogea and John Orea also showed their support for Governor Hawada. He will be visiting other central villages to carry out his campaign. Elijah Levet, National MTV News.
Carl Okuk, son of well-known politician Yambaki Okuk, is contesting the Mosby Northeast seat. He will be challenging sitting member Labi Amayu.
Carl Okuk's campaign rally was held at Erima in Port Moresby. The outspoken candidate urged the people of the area to choose carefully who they vote to represent in the House of Parliament.
Every 5 years I'm coming and time to people are making man on side. Look someone a scaling man. Scaling passing blame. Look at scaling the campaign period. Passing blame 8 weeks and Greece passing time.
Carl Okuk has looked after the Simbu and other small communities around the Mosby Northeast area. He has also sponsored rugby league teams and has organized a few sporting competitions in Port Moresby over the past few years. He is hoping to follow in his father's footsteps and bring change to the community. During his rally, Okuk spoke a little on land issues affecting people in Mosby Northeast, saying it is an ongoing issue which needs to be stopped.
Me lawyer, me work on the land department, go to the government department, go to the Miss Sour, and me make a work come and Miss Sour. You know, impossible, no making this land, looking on my title on the ground, no kind of same. But I'm about to take a long time. This is no custom ground, and state land. Now, Mama along the ground, and complicated. You know, custom ground where you can talk about you cutting ground lab, you stop lab, you cutting stem blue, and it's a walk of them. That tribal process.
Elijah Levet, National MTV News.
Papua New Guinea Forestry Authority Acting Managing Director Tunoi Sabuin was reappointed as PNGFA's Managing Director for the next 5 years. Forest Minister Douglas Tomuriasa, who had to leave the campaign trail to officiate today's announcement, also highlighted the developments of PNGFA under the new board. Eric Harupma with this report.
Forest Minister Douglas Tom Uriesa arrived this morning at the PNGFA office in Port Moresby to announce Tuno Sabuin as the new PNGFA's Managing Director.
I wanted to actually announce the appointment of Mr. Tuno Sabuin as the Managing Director of Forest for the next 5 years.
Speaking during the event, Tom Uriesa congratulated Mr. Sabuin for his appointment and challenged him and PNGFA employees to work with resource owners, making sure they are being cared for. He said the PNGFA had contributed much to the development of this country through the logging industry, which contributes 1 billion kina annually. He also said the introduction of the management levy is good for the industry.
Forward to some of the decisions that are yet to be made by the courts, and that is the management levy. If the management levy comes in place, I tell you, Forest won't be the same. It's going to transform Forest. It's going to transform a lot of things in this country in terms of forest development.
Mr. Sabuin thanked Minister Tom Uriesa for his leadership, which demonstrated positively in the forestry sector.
We must work hard in order to manage this forest in a sustainable way, apply good practices so that it benefits today and future generations.
For the last 9 months, PNGFA is embarked on achieving its core priority areas. These include a review of the corporate plan, financial management system, staff welfare and other benefits like housing subsidy and a casual rationalization program to improve their livelihood. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Kirwina Goodenough MP Douglas Tomuriasa said education is a remedy to address law and order problems in this remote district. He said after the Kirwina Goodenough Scholarship Scheme was introduced in 2013, over 1,000 students were educated in colleges, universities and other institutions.
And so we put our heads down to make certain that a lot of our young people get out from the villages and get to some institute to the teachers' colleges, the technical colleges, to the universities, so that they get employed and be meaningful in the community.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.307 $0.4091 Australian dollars, $0.2714 euro and 33.87 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and copra closed higher while gold and cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil closed unchanged while crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 141.82 points higher, the ASX closed at 43.79 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 42.25 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back, including President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia. Stay with us. Welcome back. Turning overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump has spent his second day in Saudi Arabia visiting a new global counter-terrorism center. Earlier in a speech to more than 15 Muslim nations, he urged them to take the lead in defeating extremism while also blaming Iran for the instability in the Middle East.
The president has been on a deep immersion into Middle East politics today and a charm offensive, meeting a host of Arab and Gulf leaders from across the region. And one central geopolitical subject, the fight against Islamist extremism and how to make good on his pledge to destroy so-called Islamic State. But after the trenchant and some would say Islamophobic language of the Trump election campaign, the president chose a much more moderate tone today.
We are here to offer partnership based on shared interests and values.
And he framed the choice that Arab leaders faced like this.
This is not a battle between different faiths. This is a battle between barbaric criminals who seek to obliterate human life and decent people, all in the name of religion. This is a battle between good and evil.
And he said that if terrorism was to be defeated, it was up to the people in that room to do more.
A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and drive out the extremists.
And the one phrase that he chided Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama for not using, radical Islamic terrorism, was not even mentioned. Donald Trump has made a lot of friends with this visit and this speech, a more inclusive tone, a pledge of American help, combined with a strong attack on Iran, exactly what his Saudi hosts were hoping for. And this is what President Trump wants to see more of, the new global centre for combating extremist ideology that the Saudis have built. And the clear message, this is a worldwide problem and requires a worldwide solution.
Australian mining industry leader Andrew Forrests has announced an extraordinary family donation of $400 million to causes including the fight against modern-day slavery and cancer research. The giant gift was given this morning as Australian MPs began sitting in Parliament.
As philanthropists, Andrew and Nicola Forrest are already well known. The MC noting his contact with Twiggy.
It seems always connected to some gift of largesse of Andrew's or some plan to help other people.
We had a slightly unsustainable business model previously where we'd actually borrow money to give it away.
Not anymore. The success of iron ore giant Fortescue Metals set up this morning's announcement.
This is the biggest single philanthropic gift in our history.
$400 million. The Forrests earmarking much of their money to coordinate the global fight against cancer.
History will write that our generation illuminated the deepest scientific mysteries of cancer.
$75 million on cancer research, $150 million on higher and early childhood education, as well tackling Indigenous disadvantage and ending modern slavery.
And we will, by your example, bring love.
The charity of the morning gave way this afternoon as the government dug in to fight for its budget and its plan to pay for disability insurance by pushing up the Medicare levy. Labor now argues the hike in the levy should be paid only by those who earn more than $87,000.
I'm quite comfortable with the position Labor's adopted.
And yet Labor's shadow cabinet isn't. Apparently most, including Deputy Tanya Plibersek, wanted to back the government's NDIS plan, but lost to the leader.
This was a shameful abdication of responsibility.
The government's seizing on the split as evidence Bill Shorten's old leadership rival, Anthony Albanese, is eyeing the job again.
You know it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Why don't you give him a question?
Days out from the coroner's findings into the deadly Lindt siege inquest, police in Australia have dismissed the inquest as a witch hunt. It says gunmen and not the police involved should be the focus of the findings.
The New South Wales coroner Michael Barnes releasing his findings from the Lindt Cafe siege inquest on Wednesday. The Police Association has got on the front foot, describing the inquiry process as a witch hunt. Now, 2.5 years after gunman Man Monis took 18 hostages inside the Lindt Cafe, leading to an armed standoff that has been exhaustively dissected by the inquest. Now, there's been intense scrutiny of the police handling of the siege, such as its contain and negotiate tactic and apparent breakdown in communications. A central question: should police have acted sooner before a hostage was killed? Relatives of the two hostages who died in the siege, cafe manager Tory Johnson and barrister Katrina Dawson, have today raised deep concerns about the police approach.
I'll never be able to understand how you can decide, make a calculated decision that you wait for someone to die. It's just beyond me.
The Police Association says it understands the anguish of the families, but it's hit out at the coronial process, saying it's unfairly criticised police. A particular frustration for the association is while police tactics were publicly reviewed, key decisions behind Man Monis being on bail at the time were kept confidential. It says police should be commended for the bravery they showed storming the cafe after Tory Johnson had been executed, and despite fears Man Monis had a bomb. And the union also wants any future reviews of terrorism acts to be done quickly and kept away from the public eye.
A technical error has caused check-in desks across the east coast of Australia to shut down. Thousands of passengers waited hours to have their passports processed in Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney international terminals.
Everything is returning to normal here at Sydney Airport, but it was mayhem earlier this morning. There were lines literally snaking out the front doors, passengers waiting for 1 or 2 hours to just get through check-in and then be processed through customs, becoming increasingly agitated as the morning wore on. Now, what we understand is it's a problem with the passport checking system that's used right around the world, but we know that it was impacting Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane international airports. Now, they managed to rectify the problem late in the morning, but it was still causing delays because they were having to manually process some guests up to that point. Is the airport telling you much?
Not really, to be honest with you, but I mean, it's slowly moving, but I wish it was just they prioritize a little bit better with some of the international flights.
We can't do much, can we? I mean, these things can happen, so it's expected at times. It's technology.
Now, this hasn't been impacting international arrivals or domestic flights, but it is expected to have some roll-on effect in terms of connecting flights overseas. Now, anyone who is travelling today is urged to contact their airline, check for any flight delays and be prepared to wait a while longer.
Hollywood star Rebel Wilson is in court for the start of a defamation hearing. An all-female jury will decide if an article in Women's Day magazine left her humiliated and overlooked for roles.
World premiere of Rebel Wilson's defamation trial against Australian magazines is underway in Melbourne Supreme Court, and the star of the show is preparing to take centre stage. She says Woman's Day, Women's Weekly, New Weekly and OK magazines, all published by Bauer Media, ran stories which said she was lying about her age and background, and that left her humiliated and cost her work because it was wrong. A jury of 6 was selected this morning. They are all women, and after lunch we've been hearing the opening remarks from her lawyer, Matthew Collins QC. He has told the jury and a packed courtroom that Rebel is an extraordinarily talented Australian success story, and that the publisher tore her down to sell magazines with 8 articles that slammed her as a fake, liar and fraud, and that no one bothered to check any of it with her. He said it delivered devastating and long-lasting impact on her professionally and personally, and he told the court it was an orchestrated campaign that was completely unjustified and based on interviews with a former schoolmate who had an axe to grind. Mr Collins said it cut Rebel to the core and caused film and TV offers to dry up. The court was shown clips from her TV and movie work as he set the scene of her career trajectory, Rebel glancing over at the jurors a few times, but they really were just sitting there not smiling at the comedy on the screen. We even saw a clip from her high school in 1996 which showed she was a joker back then, contradicting the articles that said she wasn't. This is set to go for about 3 weeks, and today we learned witnesses will include the actor Hugh Sheridan, plus Rebel's mum Sue and her 3 siblings, including one of them, her sister Anna, who supported Rebel in court today.
For almost 150 years, the Ringling Brothers Driving Circus was the greatest show on earth. But last night was its last show. Slumping ticket sales and claims of animal mistreatment have forced it to close down, hosting a final performance in New York City.
Boycott animal abuse.
Animal rights activists long protesting the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, keeping the pressure on right up to this last show.
It couldn't come soon enough.
But as this circus now goes out of business, Ringling says while it may have lost in the court of public opinion, it did not lose in court. The Humane Society and the ASPCA paid Ringling more than $25 million in 2012 and 2014 for repeatedly claiming the circus systematically mistreated its elephants.
Did the animal rights activists eventually put the circus out of business?
I think animal rights propaganda definitely played a tremendous role in it.
And you would say that was misinformation?
I don't need to say it. You can talk to the federal judge who called their case against us frivolous, vexatious, and groundless.
There was a time the circus coming to town was the most spectacular event of a community's year. At its height, Ringling traveled to 140 cities and towns, 10 million people a year buying tickets to watch the greatest show on earth. Gone as of tonight, not only the circus, but a way of life.
I never really thought that I would run away with the circus, but I did, and I never looked back.
Did you think it was ever going to end?
I never thought it would end. Never. Not in a million years.
Checking. Turning back home, Institute of Christian Academy has announced ambitious plans to launch what will become PNG's first nationally established TV station. The institution hosted a fundraising dinner over the weekend to launch the concept of a Christian Media Network TV, or CMMTV, and attract investment to push the project forward.
CMMTV will trade as Good News Television. According to its principal TV advisor Demas Keta, it couldn't have come at a better time.
Right now, there's a policy in place to start implementing what they term, or what the ICT community term is DVB-T2.
CMMTV's recently established technical team saw a prime opportunity to capitalize on the digital migration as a platform to launch a free-to-air station. The name speaks for its mission. According to ICA Director Tobias Nangundu, CMMTV content aims to promote quality, relevant and wholesome Christian TV programs that will mold and shape a wider population to embrace godly principles. Nangundu says CMMTV has a standing relationship with both local and international partners who will assist in content creation and technical assistance. For the time being, the organization is looking to construct a studio to house their already existing administration and equipment.
You can look around, you see the cameras that our boys are using. Those are the first equipments we got from Whiteways. Whiteways is based in Singapore.
CMMTV hopes to be fully operational by 2018. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. Details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Port Moresby Billiards and Snooker Association will hold their annual general meeting on June 4th at the Lamana Q Club in Port Moresby. The meeting will see the election of its office bearers and committee members for the next 12 months. Nomination forms are available at the Lamana Q Club and close on the 28th of May. PNG goalkeepers Kusuga Komolong and Ronald Warisan are excited to be back in camp for the upcoming fixture against Solomon Islands. Both men were relaxed after their first session in training this morning when EMTV caught up with them.
For Ronald Warisan, it's been a long road. And for the experienced campaigner, he is eager as ever to be wearing the national jersey again.
Now, different game can. That's why we have to give our best to training, discipline side, then putting God in line or something, then everything possible the side couples make him history again.
Warisan has said the mood within the camp has been good so far, and working alongside the new breed of PNG's keepers has been a humbling experience.
As they told them, me toto contem narbla general goalkeeper, lo give some good some advice, lo side lo goalkeeping, discipline, time commitment on the field. You can commit it, you discipline. That's where you can step up narbla level so country.
One of those keepers, Kusuga Komolong, the 18-year-old, the newest and possibly youngest member of the current squad.
It was unreal. It was a really good experience for me to go and see what it was like the international stage overseas, in an away environment as well. So it was good to watch, good to see the win.
Komolong made his own debut, replacing the injured Warisan in the dying stages against Tahiti this year. And he feels more confident as a player now than he was then.
Generally, I guess we're pretty confident with our ability, but we're wary that they're full of good individuals. They are very skillful technically and all that, but we believe that we are good enough to take them on.
Both goalkeepers are hoping for positive results against the Solomon Islands in June, as Papua New Guinea look to make the next stage of qualifying for Russia 2018. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. The PNG Hunters returned from their round 11 clash against the Ipswich Jets in Brisbane, Australia. The Hunters went on to win 32 points to 12.
Coach Michael Marum says the team prepared well heading into the match against the Jets. The team's defense was what stood out the most in their win. David Loko is their only injury concern after his foot was stood on during the match. Wellington Albert was given the Best Forward award after stepping in for Henry Wan. Captain Ase Boas, who received the Best Back award, was very impressed with the team's performance all throughout the 80 minutes. He says though they allowed 2 soft tries in the second half, the team managed to pick up.
I think we just, in the second half, we just lack off, a bit our defensive because the type of game that they play, they swing the ball in and out, and we get carried away with our performance in the first half. That's why we lose focus on that defensive format that we practice all week. So that's when the all came up and they came through. But we managed to fix it and come out happy with the defense at the end.
Hunters hooker Wartovo Puara says this week's preparations will be different and will see them work a little more on their defense and attack.
This week we got a different team, so I think the coach will go through everything, and I think we're going to look more, got a lot of improvement in our defense and attack, so we're going to work on that this week. Yeah.
They play the Townsville Blackhawks this Sunday at the National Football Stadium. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
To NRL, Maroon selectors have overlooked Billy Slater and have given Darius Boyd the #1 jersey for Origin 1 at Suncorp Stadium on May 31st. Coach Kevin Walters says that Slater would return at fullback after a successful comeback this season from a second shoulder reconstruction. Champion playmaker Jonathan Thurston has been named as 18th man, with Walters earlier conceding he was highly unlikely to be fit to play due to a shoulder injury. Broncos star Anthony Milford has been named to debut at 5'8" in place of Thurston. To football, Real Madrid ended their 5-year wait for the La Liga title as Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema scored in a 2-0 win at Malaga, clinching a 33rd league triumph. Meanwhile, thousands celebrated on Sunday after Real Madrid's first league title since 2012.
Real needed just a point to wrap up the title and raced into the lead when Ronaldo scored in the second minute, ensuring the champions scored in every league game of the season. Benzema wrapped up the win early in the second half. Real finished the campaign on 93 points after a 6th straight league win since going down 3-2 to Barca in April. Last year's champions Barcelona finished second on 90 points after coming from 2 goals down to beat Eibar 4-2 at home. Real Madrid fans flooded the area around the Cibeles fountain, the traditional scenario where Los Merengues celebrate silverware as they waited for their team to return from their victory over Malaga. Cheerful fans said they are proud of their team for achieving the league for the first time in 5 years. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, partly cloudy with a shower or two expected in Port Moresby, cloudy periods in Daru, mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Kerema and Alotau, and cloudy with showers and thunderstorms occurring in Popondetta. Cloudy with showers and thunderstorms occurring in Lae, cloudy with a shower or two expected in Madang, partly cloudy with brief showers in Wewak, and partly cloudy with a shower or two expected in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine although partly cloudy in Lorengau, Keveng and Buka, partly cloudy with a shower or two expected in Kokopo and Rabaul, and cloudy with a few showers and possible thunderstorms in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, evening shower or two, then early morning fog developing in all centres. Forecast for small ships for tonight and tomorrow. Strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point to Aroma Coast, and also Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait including Siasi Island to Long Island to Medang and Bogia waters. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point to Aroma Coast, seas of 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of east of Aroma Coast to Samarai Island with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Finch Hafen through Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait including Siasi Islands to Long Island to Medang to Bogia, seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Bogia to Wewak to Aitape to Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of New Ireland, East New Britain and West New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas: in the Coral Sea, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas light with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots with gusts. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. And that's how we begin another working week this Monday, the 22nd of May 2017. From the entire news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.